Assalamu alaikum. This is Muslim Network TV and you're watching GTA Muslims Today. I'm your host, Moise Rahman. Today I have the great pleasure of sitting down with Matias de Dovitiis for a sit-down private chat about what's coming up in the upcoming elections, his overall thoughts, and some policies that he wants to implement to make our way of living a better place. Matias, thank you so much for joining us today. Can we begin with how are you feeling about the upcoming election as a whole?
I'm so excited about this election because we finally get to talk about the things that are going to make a difference in people's lives. For me, that's the things like housing, affordability. It's things like being able to find good jobs, being able to find the things that will make a difference in people's lives. For me, running in an election is the single most important thing that you can do in civic life. It's a higher calling. And I've had the privilege of being elected at the municipal level as the school board trustee. Now I'm running for a member of parliament, and it's a privilege for me to be able to run in the place where I live, in the place where I live, to represent my neighbors.
Matthias, we have a lot to uncover there. Thank you for sharing that with us. So let's dive right into it then. Every conversation that we're having outside, mainly with the youth, our recent studies showing us that 70% of the youth do feel that during their time in GTA, they will never be able to afford a home. And I'm sure you get similar conversations throughout the day as well. Tell me more about how widespread this issue is when you're having these conversations and any specific policies that could actually help this going forward.
The main problem that we have is that housing has become a commodity. Over the years, we stopped building housing. The government used to build housing. What we used to do is we used to build co-ops. We used to build affordable housing. But really what we've done is we turned housing into a commodity. In this neighborhood, right at the corner around Keel and Steeles, near York University, there's a co-op, Chimney Stack. It was built around 1993. It's the last piece of affordable housing that was built in this district. I was talking to a mom there. She's paying $1,600 for a 4-bedroom townhouse, no subsidy, regular price. And that's what our parents' generations had. So when you see younger people and they're struggling to move out of their homes, start their own families, buy their own first place and things like that. Well, a large reason for that is because since the 1990s, we haven't built anything. And that's the main thing that we have to change. We have to start giving options. Yes, the rich developers out there will make money, they'll make condos, that's fine, let them continue to do that. But we need to create an alternative that is affordable so that people can continue with their lives and can start to move out and gain their independence. And that's something that a lot of our young people are struggling and having a hard time doing.
That's a lot of good insight. Let's double down on that. So when you go for a pre-approval, or even when you're putting your application in to get a property for rent, they want the housing cost to be 30% of your annual earnings. So then you have money left over for food, gas, utilities, and then just a rainy day and just a better quality of life. Right now, our youth is telling us that their housing costs are surpassing 50% of their earnings, and they're almost living check to check. How do you think we can combat this? Do we reduce the cost of housing, or do we reduce the cost of everything else around us to then make housing more affordable for us?
Well, it's a combination of things, right? So the main thing is that what we need to do is reduce the cost of housing 100%. And what historically has worked in Canada and other places, but that we stopped doing in the 1990s, is we used to build options for affordable home ownership and affordable rental. The simplest way to explain it, co-ops. But that isn't the only thing that we need to do. We also need to reduce the living costs that people have. And an example of this is dental care. A lot of younger people don't have insurance. And we're just about to roll out dental care to millions of Canadians in 2025. Right now, it's only for seniors and it's only for people under the age of 18. Well, all the rest of us will have an opportunity to also apply for this program, and that can save you literally thousands of dollars in any given year if you need to have dental surgery or you have issues in your dental health. But there's also mental health. There's also pharmacare. There's also a series of other things that we need to do to make life more affordable for people. We need to invest in public healthcare in the way that we used to. That will allow the next generation to also have the same type of opportunities that the previous generations in Canada had that we no longer are offering for our young people.
At a personal level, that makes me very happy because I too don't have dental healthcare coverage.
Mm,
It is very pricey, and that is the primary reason as to why I haven't been able to invest that back into myself, because it's always the worry for the rainy day, which
mm.
is a concern for so many people, right? Touching on something that you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, the tariffs, which has the whole economy, more specifically the sentiment of our families and our fellow loved ones, just unsure of what to believe. Are the tariffs a threat to our economy, and how should we feel about that?
100%. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs already doing so, right? We've had a number of different car manufacturing plants already offer that they're going to be reducing shifts, shutting down shifts. There's lots of exporters out there that don't know what to do. And the problem is that the people that we're sort of dealing with at a national level in the US aren't making decisions that are rational or predictable. So you can't bargain in good faith with people that aren't going to pay their bills at the end of the day. And that's a very tough position for us to be in for the next 3.5 years. What we need to do to counter that is to think about the type of Canada that we want to have at the end of this fight. Do we want a Canada that is going to protect the very wealthy, the companies, the owners of these factories, or are we also going to think about, the workers that are losing their jobs, that have to pay their mortgages, that have to take care of their families? Are we going to think about, who we're leaving behind, who we don't want to leave behind? Are we doing enough for our seniors through this process? There is going to be a lot of hardship. And what the NDP wants to do, we want to fight for everyday people, everyday working people, and we want to make sure that they continue to be able to afford their lives, which was already hard to begin with, and is about to get harder.
Thank you for keeping it very transparent and raw. It's good to know that if it's going to get harder, we acknowledge it and we're making efforts to try to combat it sooner than later. In addition to rolling out dental coverage for everyone, not just seniors, what are some other policies you intend to implement once elected in office?
Yeah, for me, one of the other things that's really important, and it's related to healthcare, is pharmacare. At this point, we have an approval of a policy framework that will start rolling out, in theory, medication for people who suffer from diabetes, for example. But that's not enough. We do have coverage for seniors. We already in Ontario and in other provinces, but what we really need to do is roll out a truly universal program that covers medical needs for all of us, all the major pharmaceutical needs that people have. Why? Because that's a significant part of healthcare now that wasn't part of our healthcare system need 30, 40 years ago when we didn't have all the amazing scientific advances that we've been able to have. And that will also reduce a significant amount of risk from many families out there, right? It can be really expensive, and again, not everybody has insurance, and we shouldn't depend on private insurance for our healthcare needs. That's a significant policy achievement. It was signed. The problem that we have is that currently the government, the Liberal government, hasn't committed to continuing the development of the program. That's why we need a strong NDP to continue to push for these things.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to share some common consumer sentiments with you. And in a couple sentences, just share how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you roughly 2 or 3 questions and we'll take it from there. The first one is gas is too expensive.
Gas is too expensive, but it's been coming down significantly. And it's been coming down for the terrible reason, because we're probably entering a recession. And the price of gas is going to continue to go down. So some people are going to be happy about that. Other people are going to lose their job.
It goes a bit of both ways, right?
Unfortunately.
I get that. Okay, what do you have to say about consumers that are worried about the crime rate continuously going up?
That the crime rate in Canada hasn't continuously gone up. The worst generation from crime was mine in the 1990s when I was a young person, or a younger person anyway. Crime outside of this hiccup that we've had after COVID in North America has actually gone down outside of a number of things like car thefts and so on. So one of the things that's happening out there is that we now have phones, and in our phones we have social media, and we see every single crime that ever happened, and we see it repeatedly. So we need to do two things. We need to give young people jobs, make sure they don't fall into those type of things. But then we also need to be better about understanding, what our neighbors are going through, and being able to understand that sometimes some of the things that we see online are not the norm; they're the exception, right?
You did touch on this, but I'm going to ask you to re-highlight some sentiments about it. A, a member of the family, let's say a father, husband, two kids, your average happy Canadian family, worried that he will never be able to afford a home and leave something behind for his kids, some sort of legacy. And he's just worried that his time in Canada is just chasing debts or just survival at the bare minimum. What do you have to say about that?
That we need to start changing what we think our goals are in Canada. In order for all of us to get ahead, we need to do a better job in investing in public services and the public programs that will allow us to have better lives. Yes, back in the day, people used to be able to come to Canada, buy a home with one job, but now you can't. So in order for us to move into the space where we have that again and we can give a better future to the next generation, what we need to start doing is start investing in public things like public housing and public healthcare, and that will allow us to start to have better lives.
What do you have to say for someone who believes or is saying to you that Canada should become the 51st state?
No. That's easy. I don't need more sentences. If you want to live in the U.S., go move in the U.S.
Right, very nice. Do you support the idea of removing American product from shelves?
Yeah, 100% support Canadian industry. I did it before, right? Like some of the stuff I'm wearing is made in Canada. I go look for stuff that's made in Canada all the time. I did it before Trump. I always try to support local manufacturing and local services because why wouldn't I support my neighbors?
I love that. Now, we've had a lot of good conversations about the nitty gritty. For the folks that haven't had a chance to meet you yet, they haven't had the pleasure to, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So I came here as a kid from South America. I was born in a country called Uruguay. I speak Spanish at home. And I was elected as a school board trustee a couple of years back. I've worked for Councilor Peruzza as a chief of staff for a number of years, former executive director for the Duke Heights Business Improvement Area. I'm currently teaching at George Brown and Humber College. And I've had a significant number of experiences. I've started charitable organizations. I started a local paper. I've started a number of different projects to try and help my neighbors have better lives because I like this work, because I like helping people. So I'm running because I want to help make the lives of my neighbors better. It's as simple as that. And I said it before, but public life, political life is the highest civic calling that you can have in society. And I think we can have better lives. We just need to be smarter about the things that we're doing. And unfortunately, for the last few years, we've forgotten some of the really good practices that make Canada an amazing place to live. And we need to go back into some of those things so more of us can enjoy the great rewards of living in this beautiful country.
That sounds amazing because most of the conversations I'm having right now, that's a primary concern, that the Canadian life that once was is not anymore. It's the simple stuff, as if like consumers just don't have time to go out anymore, be with their friends anymore. Happiness is just questionable. It's just survival day in and day out. And that's taking a toll on mental health, which potentially is segueing into other aspects of the world as well, right? And that's something people are not really talking about, but it seems like you have a really good grasp of on how to tackling it. Now, to get to know you even more at a personal level, I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions. Rapid fire, if you will.
Sure.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea. But to be honest, neither.
Neither?
It's just water. Boring.
Healthy, hydrated. Love it. Favorite Netflix show?
I cut off Netflix because American and they were raising the fees. But I'm gonna forget the name. You said rapid fire, and I'm forgetting the name of my favorite show.
Favorite show? What comes to your mind?
Oh my god, but I can't remember. Stranger Things. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name.
I just saw it. Amazing.
Okay.
It picked up after a couple of seasons. I thought at least.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on it?
My thought, like, it goes back to those 80s sort of movies, like with all the like kids running around getting into trouble and things like that. It's sort of like a throwback. It has that sort of feel. Obviously, the time scale. So it's got a little bit of that, but it's also got some social stuff in there, some social commentary and things. It's deep. It's got a number of different things in it, and it's just fun.
I love that. Are you a podcast person or a book person?
Book.
Book. Favorite book?
100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Nobel Prize winner, Colombian. That would be one of them. Nonfiction is The Open Veins of Latin America, and it's sort of historical sort of take on colonialism and some of the things that sort of created the space that I was born in, right? So, but definitely, I'm a fan of books. I'm a fan of reading, lots of science fiction more lately, but science, like I read a lot. I like reading.
Love that. Sweet or savory?
Oh, sweet.
Favorite dessert? I
You
know.
don't know it. It's called chaha, right? And it looks like a little cake, but it can taste a little bit like a cookie.
Okay.
It's got whipped cream. Do you know dulce de leche?
I do know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
if you know dulce leche is amazing. And it's got like a little a fruit thing in the middle and stuff
Okay.
like that. Uh, in Uruguay, we have a lot of sugar and a
Okay.
lot of milk and milk products and stuff like that. So we have really, really tasty, sweet foods and stuff like that. And I'm probably going to die of diabetes.
I know where to book my next vacation to. Thank you.
No
For
problem.
everyone watching, where can they follow along your journey? Where is your office located? And are they allowed to drop by and have a conversation with you?
Oh, 100%. So I'm at Keelan Finch, right off of Finch West. You can definitely follow me online. Matias de Dovitiis. I'm the only Matias de Dovitiis on planet Earth. I'm going to say that. So I'm really easy to find on social media. If you
Lovely.
look me up, you'll find lots of the stuff and lots of the work that I've done. We're open here 7 days a week. And welcome everybody to come by the office and give us a shout.
Those are long hours, but I guess that's what's required to make a change.
Yeah, 100%. It's very long hours. It's a lot of work. I like the work. I like campaigning. I like going out and knocking on doors. But you also hear from people and learn from people and it builds the sort of passion that I have to go out and try and help my fellow neighbors.
I love that. Matthias, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you, Mo, for having me.
Our pleasure. To our lovely viewers, as always, thank you so much for watching. Now, we're curious to know what your thoughts are on this conversation. Let us know in the comments below. And if you have any specific questions that you want me to ask Matthias, I'll be back again and I'll bother him to get those questions answered. Like, share, subscribe, and inshallah, I'll see you in the next video.